Okay, so I want to talk about Trump's 20-point peace plan. Obviously, there are all the naysayers out there claiming this is a setup, and they're giving Hamas an impossible deal to accept, which will then give them permission to go in, commit genocide, annex Palestine, and I'm sure you've heard it 1,000 times before. So I want to look at this piece by piece. What is Hamas saying? What is the devil in the details here? And try to break it down for people in a way that they can understand and have a very honest perspective. My first question is, historically speaking, how many different attempts at peace have there been? It looks like, regarding how narrowly you're going to define peace, 20 or so different attempts at this?
Yeah, well, first off, it's just, and this is the unfortunate part of doing anything as it pertains to the Middle East, like a huge amount of people have an unending amount of their own facts. But I will lay out a couple facts here, and you, one of the reasons I love you, there's a million reasons I love you, but as a communicator, you love facts, you love fact checking, you love actually bringing information. So I would welcome you right now while we're doing this, or post-production or whatever, to fact check anything that I say right now. First off, an independent sovereign state of Palestine for people known as Palestinians never existed. There was the British Mandate of Palestine, where Arabs, Jews, Christians, Druze, and others lived. Baha'i, many others lived there. When the British Empire finished up around 1947, they offered to split the land. The Jews said yes. The Arabs, not Palestinians, because there was no such people really as Palestinians. The Arabs said no. Then about 5 Arab armies launched a war to destroy whatever remaining Jews there were post-Holocaust. They lost. Israel came into existence. The United States was the first country to acknowledge Israel, May of 1948, blah, blah, blah. Over the years, I don't know if it's exactly 20, but there have been at least a dozen times that Israeli governments, right, left, center, all over the political map, have tried to make deals. As a matter of fact, for the first time in history, when the Palestinians who were just the Arabs that lived there, the first time they got any autonomy over their own lives was after the Oslo Accords in the 1990s. So the Israelis are actually the only people who have ever given the Palestinian Arabs any actual rights. That's, by the way, separate from the 2 million Arabs who live in Israel proper as full and equal citizens and have been on the Supreme Court and are doctors and lawyers and all of the rest of the things. Jordan, when people talk about apartheid, Jordan is an actual country of apartheid, as is Lebanon. Lebanon has, I think, 24 laws that preclude you as a Palestinian from having certain jobs. Jordan is a majority Palestinian, and I'm using air quotes because, again, it wasn't even a real people. That's just the truth. Is a real majority Palestinian population ruled by the Hashemite king of Jordan, who does not let them vote and be involved in a series of other public life things. Israel has offered to split the land. They've offered to split Jerusalem. I mean, they're not going to do these things anymore, and they never should. I've never believed in two-state solution. I still don't believe in a two-state solution. There's several dozen
From
Arab,
the outside looking in, D.
Wait.
Okay.
Let me just say
I'm
one last
sorry.
thing.
Go.
There are several dozen Arab Muslim nations. Gaza has a border with Egypt, which has Sinai next to it. They could have, on October 8th, when they knew there was going to be an incoming assault after the horrific day of October 7th, they could have if they cared about the Palestinians, they could have opened up the border and let everyone in. But I would welcome you, maybe you guys can do it in post, put up the images of what the border of Gaza and Egypt looks like, what that fence with cement and barbed wire that goes up and up and up, what that looks like versus, and I've been there, the literal chain link minor barbed wire fence that the Israelis had with the Gazans. And the Israelis let the Gazans come in to work on many of the kibbutzes that they ended up getting, where everyone got slaughtered and burned down and everything else. So what this all boils down to is there's one tiny little Jewish state. Again, put up a map of the Middle East in post. It's tiny. It's absurdly tiny. Some Jews live there. If the Arabs and the Muslims want to accept that there's going to be this one little tiny speck there, they can flourish because Israel will be more than happy to work with them and provide water and technology and all of those things. But if they want to dedicate the ethos of their nations and their cultures into destroying it, it's just not going to work out that well. That wasn't really an answer to the 20-point thing. We can get to that.
Well, cooler days call for layers that last, and Quince is my go-to for quality essentials that feel cozy, look refined, but won't blow your budget. Think $50 Mongolian cashmere, premium denim that fits like a dream, luxury outerwear that you can wear year after year, because these are the pieces that turn into your fall uniform. I'm personally eyeing the wool coats because they look designer level, but they cost a fraction of the price. And honestly, the quality is just as good, if not better. And the way they do this is that they directly go to top tier ethical factories and they cut out the middlemen. So they deliver luxury quality pieces at half the price of similar brands. It's the kind of upgrade with your wardrobe that feels smart, stylish, and effortless. I find my fall staples at Quince, and you can go to quince.com/Jillian for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/Jillian to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Jillian. I want to get to that, but it needs context, which is why this is so important. So from the outside looking in, and I have, again, no knowledge. This is why I interview people like yourself or people on the other side, like Dave Smith, for example. I have no knowledge of the history of this. I have some understanding of what you've just said because I've listened to people like yourself say this before. But from the outside looking in, I think the average normie wants the killing to stop, wants to acknowledge atrocities on both sides, and then thinks, hey, a two-state solution seems to make sense here. Let these guys have this piece. Let those guys have that piece. Let them do their own thing, have their autonomy. And it seems like this 20-point peace plan is going to hinge on that. And I can't quite get an idea if it's in there or not, because it seems like some of it is vague. Why are you against that? Because that seems like a discussion ender if they don't.
Well, I didn't say I'm against the 20-point peace plan because it's not a guarantee of a state at the end. I've never been for two states. It never made sense. There never were two states. Again, there are majority Palestinians in Jordan. So they have a state. It's just ruled by the Hashemite king of Jordan. And you can Google Black September in, I think, 1973 and figure out how many Palestinians his dad killed in about 3 days. It was about 25,000 of them. Gaza used to be ruled by Egypt pre-1967. So when people like Dave Smith say the brutal occupation that began in 1967, okay, the day before Israel took Gaza in a war that they didn't start, it in his mind, I suppose it was occupied by Egypt. So why are you okay with Arab on Arab occupation? It's only the Jews. Then they put 7,000 Jews in Gaza, 7,000, that's it. They ripped every single one of them out during disengagement, early 2000s. Every single one. They left temples, they left greenhouses, they left infrastructure, and Hamas took over, turned it all into a terror base. So in some like crazy utopian fantasy, would I be for two states and whatever? Well, kind of, but I'm a realist, not just like an eternal optimist. I mean, in the state of Israel, if there's two states in the state of Israel, okay, they'll be expected to treat everyone equally. 2 million Arabs will live there and be treated equally and everything else. You think one Jew is going to live in Palestine? How's it going to go for the Christians there and everything else? Ask the Christians of Bethlehem now that the Palestinians control Bethlehem. So it's not that I get what you're saying. The normie might be like, oh, there's two people here, split this tiny little thing again. Okay. That being said, I think the 20-point plan, most of it is quite good, and it's up to Hamas. You want the killing to end? The killing could have ended on October 8th, actually, because all they had to do was release the hostages. But they played a very smart game. They played a smart game, which was that you could bleed Israel for 2 years in an intractable war, because any country, if the United States, think about it, if Mexican terrorists burst through the border at Tijuana and went to San Diego, killed 1,000 people, and then kept another 20 of them, I think, about 20 hostages are still alive. 2 years later, we would be bombing the out of every part of Mexico every day, and we'd all be for it, and it would be fully justified. We'd probably bomb Canada if terrorists from Toronto went into Detroit and did that. Every nation exists to protect its own citizens. Israel owes nothing to the Palestinians. Their entire ethos is to kill as many Jews as possible. Jews have a long history of being killed. I think it's well past time to not apologize for not dying.
Okay. I'm going to push back with everything I've heard. So number one,
yes, please.
Israel knew they have the best intelligence in the world. And to be honest, Dave, you could see, I'm like, well, they do have the best. I mean, Mossad is pretty impressive. You can set up a whole beeper thing that's been going on for I don't know how many years. Like, that's impressive stuff. Israel had to know about October 7th. I got three things. They let it fly in order to have an excuse to take the land. Okay. Number two, someone just said this to me the other day. I tried to understand it. It's not so easy to understand. Israel supported Hamas in order to give them an excuse to go in and take the land. Number three, Israel, this whole thing is an excuse to facilitate the Greater Israel Project, which that's another one I'm going to need you to explain because I can't tell if it's biblical, ideological, or if it actually exists somewhere on paper in a political capacity. Because to be fair, like this is not for a lack of trying to understand. It's not easy to find this stuff. So number one, Israel knew about October 7th. The New York Times actually wrote a piece saying they probably knew about October 7th. What is the rebuttal to that?
Well, first off, I mean, the New York Times isn't even worth the paper it's printed on.
Okay,
they just did a hatchet job.
They've done that to both of us. Both of us.
They did a hatchet job on you not too long ago. You know, I have a thing hanging in my studio where they call me the leader of the alt-right. So the New York Times is trash.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And make sure to let me know what guests you want to see on in the future.